Brian, what do you attribute the movement in the libertarian conservative movement when it comes to actually forcing the hand of, let's say, the GOP when it comes to, let's say, funding Ukraine? And it looks like there's at least some decent momentum with funding in Gaza. So what do you attribute that type of momentum on your side for? Because the Democrats just completely fall in line. They do not challenge the president. They do not challenge the infrastructure. And it's obviously very sad to see. It's Donald Trump. I mean, I know your audience might not like to hear it. It's Donald Trump.
Some of our audience is fine with that. We have a very good mix here, actually. And that's, look, we are not Trump supporters. That's not, our thing. But to me, at this point, they're all working for the same corporation. So if you're supporting the military-industrial complex and you're supporting empire and you're supporting subjugation of people, then you're all kind of working for the same person. The fact that the Democrats are nicer on LGBTQ and they say women's reproductive rights, although I question that, they've had ample opportunity to secure that and failed to do so. They like it as a fundraising tool. So really, what is the difference? Like, the only difference between a neoliberal and a neocon is LGBTQ rights. Like, that's what it seems like to me. And they're all in favor of war. Gun rights, it's there too. Okay, so I'm a leftist, like happy to be a leftist, and I'm very civil libertarian. Everyone knows that about me. Like, I am very much about the government's job is to protect our rights, not to patrol us and create more bans or infringements. Like, their job is to protect our rights, not tell us what they are. So yeah, and some people do not like that about me, Brian. They just don't. I mean, look, I think if everybody was a libertarian, there is a role for the government, but it is way too big now, which is making people, it's like Elon Musk said. Elon Musk said, I'm still a Democrat. It's just I'm right here and the party just continues to move this way. And, now it's put him in the center, actually center right now, if you actually look at what Elon's been talking about lately. And that's the thing is the establishment is just going so far in either direction that it's pulling people one way or the other. And like we were talking about last weekend, why do we have to put ourselves into a category based on a handful of things? These are what they call the kitchen table topics: abortion, gun rights, the LGBTQ stuff. When in reality, the U.S. Congress should not have too much influence on any of those things. That should be mainly your local politics, your local government, local officials. But again, our local politics is so corrupt because when you go to vote and you people see the Biden and Trump commercials for a year leading up to it, they'll see, down where we're at, they'll see your commercials in Wasserman Schultz, but they won't see, I want to go down Fort Lauderdale Beach and just ask people, hey, did you vote in the 2020 presidential election? Yes, I did. Who is your state representative? Oh, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. No. Who's your state representative? They have no idea. Nope. But they vote for the person with a D next to their name or the person with an R next to their name. And if you're going to run in a place like Broward County, and I'm going to flip the role here from a rhino to a dino. If you run in a place like Broward County and you're a Republican, you can't run as a Republican. You have zero shot at winning in the state legislature. So what do? You run as a Democrat, maybe? I don't know. A libertarian? I don't know. But you don't even, just run a campaign against your opponent. You don't even have to focus on your own stuff. And if you can get enough people to facial recognition, name recognition, that kind of thing, and put a D next to your name, you'll win. And the same thing. And nobody looks at policy. You're right. They don't look. They don't bother to research. They just vote for whoever their team tells them to vote for. And I've said it many times. Like, I like the idea of no parties. Yes, I love that. Just no parties. Why do we need parties? And granted, given the current situation, the best we can hope for is multiple parties and ranked choice voting, which we are very big proponents of. Did we talk at all about ranked choice voting? Because what are your, it is statistically, numerically, the best system to represent the most amount of people, like the way it mathematically works out. So that's why I like it. Your thoughts? So ranked choice voting is going to be the downfall of our society. You're taking. You think that? Well, for a couple of reasons. For one, we'd have to have a podcast if you were going to understand why ranked choice is such why it'll be the demise of our society, and just reassure the establishment never leaves power. We'd have to have a thorough, in-depth conversation about elections.
and I will bring all the receipts. If you ever want to have this conversation, I'm more than happy to do it. Our elections are ridiculously compromised. The story just came out yesterday. I mean, we the certain voting company that I don't want to say on this platform, because I know you guys are on the commie platform. Certain voting company has all their programmers are in Serbia. And this came out, the email, I have the emails that, they're in a filing up in Michigan in a case that's going on in Michigan. And, the emails were, just part of discovery. And it's in there in the emails that the programming team is upset because, they're being doxxed, because this was back in 2020 when it got exposed that how can we have something that is critical U.S. infrastructure programmed by Serbians? I mean, anybody in another country, nobody should be programming.
How do we have a Congress that's been taken over by AIPAC?
100%. I'm with you.
Right. It's the same. Right. I'm just saying, like, I just don't ever want to point out any one nationality kind of thing. Like, it could be any country, right? Like, it could be anybody.
I agree. But this is actually Serbians. That's the only reason I'm pointing out Serbians here, because it's specific to them. I mean, you have the issue with Smartmatic in Venezuela. That's, been covered ad nauseum. And by the way, the mainstream media told us all that was not true, that's all false. And it's absolutely not false. It is true.
So explain how it affects, so what you're saying is, because the whole electoral process is just such a mess in terms of like we're so compromised that even if you have a system like ranked choice voting, it doesn't really matter.
Well, the problem with it is, first off, ranked choice voting will ensure that no matter what, you're married to the machines. And you're going to need the machines in order to do the calculation.
I see what you're saying. Like the mechanics of it requires things to be done by machine.
Correct.
Okay. So you don't think because obviously, I mean, I'm a big fan of hand counted paper ballots. So why could that not be done with hand counted paper ballots?
Because there's a lot of math behind it. Certain votes are weighted, your first vote versus your second vote. If you go all the way down to a third choice, depending on, what type of, how far you go with the ranked choice voting. I haven't seen, is there legislation in Florida for ranked choice voting? I sure hope not.
Good God, I'm sure we'll be trust me, you're safe. We'll be the last bastion of ranked choice voting here.
Well, so here's my theory, and I've been kind of pushing this around a little bit here, and I think it's really not complicated to clean up our elections. And I think we were talking about this last weekend, but we should separate our elections. Our federal, state, and local elections should be on completely separate days. They don't have to be in the same month. I mean, the only one that's mandated is our federal elections have to be the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. That's federal law.
Right. Everything else is flexible.
And here's the thing is when you vote, if you vote for a federal election and it's on a separate day from the others, there's only a maximum of 3 votes that you could cast: president, Congress, and your Senate. And it's only, one Senate every 6 years. Right.
So really every 2 years you're voting for your rep, and and then every 4 years you're voting for so yeah, no, I would be totally open to that idea. And then the state and municipals would be whenever.
You can, and so the key to that is that you can hand mark paper ballots on those 3 races. You could do it in a couple hours. And if we bring precincts down to 2,000 man or woman, 2,000 people precincts, got to be fair, right? Got to be fair.
Oh yeah. Fair.
2,000 people maximum per precinct, live stream the counts. Okay. There's no identifying marks on the ballot. So you can live stream the counts so that people can go back and check on their own, precincts. And we have a group of people across the United States. And by group, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people that are involved after what happened in 2016 and 2020. They want to get involved in elections. And so then the fallout from that is that on your state and local elections, you won't get the same number of voters, but you'll get more qualified voters. You'll get people who are educated. This notion that every single person needs to vote is absurd. I always think that's the most absurd thing. If you want to go out and educate yourself on how to vote, educate yourself on the candidates, what they stand for, all that stuff, then go for it. But if you're just going to go in there and be like, oh, I saw a Joe Biden commercial, I like Biden, he's got a D next to his name, let me mark D down ballot, you're screwing your community. And it happens. It happens more on the Republican side.
I just was like, that is so true. And people do not realize it. And one of the things I've always said, the only thing worse than voter complacency is voter ignorance. And it is absolutely true. And while we do have low turnout, and everybody's always, especially in the Democrats, we got to get out the vote. We got to get out the vote. We got to get, because they're just looking for somebody to vote for the D.
I can remember back in 2020. Do you remember the comedian Michael Ian Black? Does that name ring a bell?
No, not off the top.
I don't know who that is.
You would know him if you saw him. Anyway, I remember distinctly, he made a post and I responded to him and it went absolutely like insanely viral. He basically implied that he liked Biden more than Bernie. And from the standpoint of, I just think Joe's a nicer guy. Like that's what's
like, that's a good way to vote.
Because that's important. And I actually responded to him with, Michael, you don't have to worry. You don't make enough money for Bernie's tax plan to ever affect somebody like you. And everybody lost their shit. And even he reacted with, oh, I guess you kind of own me on that one. I'm like, yeah. But that's the problem with the whole cult of feelings. But that's the thing about the cult of personality. You know, Trump is a very unique individual because he has a cult of personality, but he also has a wild card component to his political discourse where you really don't know what you're going to get. And to me, yeah, it makes your vote more powerful.
It does.
Because voting really is, it is a right, but it's also a privilege at the same time. You are making sound decisions for how you want the future to go.
And you're right. And guys, this is very important what Brian was saying. When you are only voting top ballot, and everything below it is something that you don't even know or don't even think of, your vote could easily be causing more damage than not. In fact, that's why ballot initiatives, this is something, generally pass. They generally pass. People generally vote yes. Our tendency is vote yes. And not on the big ones necessarily, but on little ones that people don't think matter, especially municipal things that do matter, and tax things at local things that do matter, and all of those things, school board, all of that stuff that matters, and people don't bother to even look into it.
Yeah.
So you're right. It would, if we separated the elections, a lot of those people would stay out of our state and local races and let the people who know who would be better be. Like, I think that's true.
Well, because in many ways we do vote for our own demise.
Yes.
That does happen.
Because people don't know. They don't do the research. They just vote for, and you're right. And and then it also has it be so dependent on what's happening on the top races as to what is going to happen on the down ballots. It's that's a good idea. I would go with that. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.